and welcome everyone to my first vlog or online recipes. Oh, gotta turn the light on there. Anyway, what we are going to be making today is my meatloaf with hard-boiled eggs in the middle. And why I chose this is because Easter is right around the corner. Oh, that's my Fitbit. You want to take off your rings and any other things that might get in the way because you're going to be kneading this just like bread dough. So we're starting off this meatloaf with a pound of beef, ground beef, and a cup of regular breadcrumbs. You can use salt and pepper to season throughout. That's on you. I normally just put it on top after I put my ketchup on. And then we are going to be adding a half cup of minced onion. I tend to go for dry because I've done minced onion or I've chopped up onion and it just doesn't seem to cook as well. It tends to give off some moisture. And then here I'm putting in a tablespoon of garlic powder and a tablespoon of onion powder. Those were both in that little ramekin type thing. And now I just kind of knead in some of these spices and everything just because I want it to be all throughout the dough, or not dough, but all throughout the meat. But obviously we can see there's not enough moisture in this to take up all of that stuff. So we're going to next be adding a binding agent, which is a regular raw egg, whole raw egg. You put that in there. And then that's still not going to quite be enough moisture-wise to take up all of that breadcrumby, oniony dryness. So next we're going to add some moisture in different ways to bring in a little bit of flavor, yet make this loaf possible. So here we're going to add 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire, however you say that, and then 2 tablespoons of ketchup. And since your hands are already a mess, why not use your finger to clean out the bowl? So then finally, you kind of mash this all up and get all the dryness out. And this is a great recipe to include your kids in because this was a recipe I always looked forward to working with my mom in the kitchen. It was just always so much fun to really gush the heck out of this meatloaf and get it all ready. And she would add the ingredients so that my messy hands wouldn't get all over everything. So finally, once you're done with this, we're going to set it aside and later we'll split it in half. Kind of like what I do here. And as you can see, this is obviously another reason why we don't wear rings or bracelets and stuff as you do this, because your hands do get so messy. You don't want it all up in your rings, and you also don't want your rings, whatever is attached to your rings, dirty-wise, to get into the meat. Now we're moving on to our beautiful eggs. I colored these the night before just so that we could get into the Easter spirit. And Nathan chose the colors for this one. So here I'm going to teach you how to crack an egg and peel it properly. I normally tap the bottom and the top, and then I roll it on one side. So then you peel off the top, peel off a little bit of the bottom, and that side you rolled on, you kind of pinch with the soft part of your fingers all the way down to take the shell off. You don't want to be using your nails, ladies, because that'll gouge out of the white of the egg. So then when you're done making that line, you pinch the top and the bottom of the shell and you roll it away. So that one's pretty good, except for that little green splotch from the dye. And then I put it in the bowl so that we can rinse them later. So again, that is tapping the bottom and top and rolling on the side, taking a little bit off the top. Didn't quite get enough there, so a little bit more off the top and a little bit off the bottom. And then pinching all the way down the side until you reach that bare spot that you already peeled off of. And then again, going more lengthwise, you're going to be pinching off the top and the bottom and rolling the egg out of its shell, rolling it away from the shell. And again, little pieces, that's why we rinse them. Now, for the rest of them, I'm just going to speed this up here. Do, 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 do. Such festive Easter eggs. I'm so proud of myself. Okay, all done. Going to rinse the eggs. So what's good about these shells is they're beautiful, colorful, but you can also put them in your garden. It'll spruce up your garden, and the white stuff on the inside is actually like the calcium and everything that the egg would have needed to grow into a chick, and it will add a value to your garden because it will act as food for your plants. So don't forget to use the rest of the egg. So that's why I do the paper towel. Okay, now we're back with the rinsed eggs. And here comes my pan. I did have to grease it because it's not a non-stick pan. So I did have to grease it with some butter. And then I put my meat off to the side over here. And then I separate it in half. So the first half of meat, I am starting to kind of press down into the bottom of the pan. You want to have it be a decent layer on the bottom that will be able to come up a little bit on the sides because you're going to be making kind of a divot lengthwise in your pan so that the eggs will be able to lay in there. Pro tip though, kind of measure out how many eggs would fit in your pan lengthwise before you go ahead and peel them. I probably should have gone with 3 instead of 4, but oh well. So I was having a little trouble putting the first egg in. Didn't realize that pushing it with the egg wouldn't make the meat so malleable. So once I made the first divot, I put the egg up there and kind of wanted to make a divot going all the way down. And I wanted to get that ready before I put the rest of the eggs in. So here's egg number 2, 3, and you won't be able to see 4 on this video just because it is such a close-up of what I'm doing here. But as you can tell, kind of in the middle, you're seeing them get a little smushed just because there's not quite enough space. Another pro tip is maybe adding more meat to your mixture, just because I know when I did this, though when putting it in, it seemed like I had enough meat on top here. I probably could have used a little more so that it wouldn't crack. So now this step you're doing here is you're basically making the pie crust. You're putting the top layer of meat on the top and connecting it down to the bottom layer on the sides. You want to make sure everything's all tucked in nice, kind of like a hot pocket, and make sure that it cooks all nice. I was a little worried that the eggs might get overcooked as I was doing this, but to be honest, it was actually, they actually turned out just great, which you'll see a little later. I was afraid that the eggs would get overcooked my first time, but they turned out great, especially after even just being boiled for 12 minutes. So again, just me checking, making sure that it's all nice and sealed. Okay. Then finally, before we put it in the oven, we're going to top it with our leftover ketchup. This is only 2 tablespoons, and that seems to be all you need for this. You want to make sure you get it all over the meatloaf, and it'll be a nice thin layer of ketchup-y goodness. Ketchup-y goodness. Yeah, I can make that a thing, right? So it'll be a nice thin layer of ketchup-y goodness. Hopefully by now you have preheated your oven to 400 degrees, because after we get done with this step, we are going to put it into the oven for 30 minutes. One thing I did not show in this video is I did top it with a little bit of salt and pepper before I put it in. I didn't include salt and pepper in my mixture, but I did put a little salt and pepper on top, and it just was that little bit that I needed. So finally, here's the finished product. Be patient with me. The first piece is always really hard to get out, and please, please, please forgive me for my arm getting in the way of you seeing the meatloaf. But here's what the finished product looks like. And it was really tasty. Nathan and I finished it off that night. It wasn't a huge loaf, but yeah, it was very, very good. So thank you everybody for watching, and I hope you come back to see what I make next week.